inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher, unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no, real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. OMG, you guys, I'm excited. I'm nerve-skited, as my girl Imani Aisha would say. Closing out this year for the podcast, I am being interviewed, and not like rinky-dink interview, like, oh, I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you. I've allowed somebody to go ahead and go into their arsenal of thoughts and create a bunch of questions that they would like to ask me about my journey as an entrepreneur or whatever. I have no freaking idea. So we're going to have a new guest host up in here. And just one little update before we start. This episode is actually airing on the 21st. So from the 21st until January the 2nd, after this, we're going to have a little break and we'll be coming back with season 3. So take over, Camille Anderson.
Hola, mi gente. Do not adjust your dial. You are about to be in for a treat because you're going to have the opportunity to peer into the mind, heart, and soul of the inimitable August V. Crenshaw in order to be able to just give you all a little bit of insight. Y'all see her, y'all hear her, you hear her voice, you hear how powerful she is when it comes to business. But let's not forget she's a human. And let's not forget that she's got so many different layers that go beyond just her coaching skills.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about those. Of course, yes, we're going to bring them back to business. We're going to make sure that we're putting those connections in there. But I think it's important that as we close out this season, you all really get to get a peek into just the how beautifully grand August's spirit is. So the questions that I'm asking her, what I'm going to get her to be able to talk about, might surprise her, might not. We don't see. We're team no ice sweat, so we're hoping that that's not going to happen.
Now I'm nervous for real.
Don't be nervous. So
Okay.
I'm gonna throw you an easy one to start us off, okay? Just an easy one. So you're always really candid about your journey when it comes to how you got through the business. You talk about some of the struggles and this, that, and the other in terms of the amounts of money you spent, the things that worked and didn't work, and you're really candid about sharing that type of information with just everybody. Okay. You're very transparent about that. Why do you think it's so important for people to get those intimate details of your business journey?
Okay. That is an easy one. There's something about embarrassment, criticism, perfection that paralyzes the best of us. And unfortunately, I really don't know that many people that haven't been a victim of it. But when you really think about it, you could have grew up in a great household, positive mom and dad, and then you go get a job and the people around you are jerks. And there's something about the way that it destroys your morale, how it impacts your spirit, and you really don't have time to whine, cry, or complain as an entrepreneur. You got to still have muscle. And I understand that everybody doesn't have the same strengths spiritually to be able to stand up to certain things. And so the first point of being able to declare that for someone else, and better yet, impose it on someone else, to say that you have to be strong no matter what. Let's go ahead and get my embarrassing stuff out. And what usually happens is that when we share an embarrassing piece of our story, there's some part of it that's very closely related to what someone else has gone through, or they know someone that they really care about went through it, and they would love to avoid that. And so I give people freedom to say, hey, look, we all make the same kind of mistakes. Who cares? And it also is a reaffirmer of, wait a minute, you failed. But like John C. Maxwell says in his book, you need to fail forward. And so that's the primary basis behind why I share, because I believe that it gives strength to other people to know that, yeah, you're going to mess up, but it's okay.
Right. And it gives the people the opportunity to be able to say, oh, okay, so that's what it looks like on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, oh yeah, I did that same thing. I dished out thousands of dollars too. And but she overcame it in this way. And that's that I like the idea of transparency, because transparency is where we have growth. And if you don't give yourself that opportunity to be vulnerable or to show people those vulnerable moments, you are one of the things that I hear someone say all the time is, if you are not being your most full, vulnerable, transparent self, you are robbing somebody of the you that they deserve to have.
Absolutely, I concur.
Mm-hmm. So I think that by you doing that, not only are you just showing, hey, these things happen, but you're also allowing people to get the best of you because of those moments of vulnerability, showing that this is what it looks like to give your best to someone. I like it. So, what was that moment when you were like, F it? And what I'm talking about is, because you do talk a lot about, hey, these are some of the things that coaches do, and I'm trying to reveal, that these are the things that this is their thought process, and this is why it's not working, and let me show you why it is, and I'm different. But what was that moment for you when you're in the midst of being coached by different people, and you're just like, you know what? Bump it. I'm about to just tell everybody what the real deal is so that they can start doing things better. What was that moment for you?
What was the moment when I really came out and was like, I'm going, shed light on the real in the industry?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that it was after I started my first group. I used to just come out. I was doing these videos Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I was really doing everything I could to, just share highlights about life, about spirituality, and how it all correlates to business. And when I started my Facebook group, the first one I ever started, when people were coming in there, I really got a chance to see that my experience was not just mine. I always known that an experience is not singular, but to what depths it was really occurring. And listening to the ladies come in and they're like, yeah, well, August, you just got this mindset. And what do you think about this? And I tried this and I did this. And I was like, wait a minute, what you try? What you do? Well, why'd you do that? How much money did you spend? When did that occur? And in that group, that is when the evolution of me began to come. And so I ended up hiring a coach. And I was like, I need more visibility. I need to understand how to navigate this. I finally found somebody that I could trust. And she helped me understand the technical aspects of doing a summit. And I was like, dang, what am I going to do this summit about? What's going to be the theme? And working through that was the birth of a Real Talk for Business Mastery. And I was like, man, there's so many components to doing a business. These people going out here buying this, the one this that sells, the one this. I kind of did that thing too. If I could just be a part of this group or this mastermind, and it didn't work. And I was like, I'm doing this summit. I'm gonna interview over 30 people. Well, it didn't start off with 30, but I'm gonna interview all these people, and they're gonna come in. And I only want the people that are gonna give the real. And in order for me to promote that summit and to talk, I'm like, dang, this is a freaking epidemic. I went full-fledged, and that is when I totally came into my fullness of who I am as a coach, and I've never been the same ever since, and I understand it as a part of my marketing and my brand strategy.
What were some of the stories that came out of that summit that helped you to say, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be? What are some of those stories? Some
of the stories, like from the speakers you're talking about?
Yeah, from the speakers. Like when you're realizing, okay. This is why I need to be here.
Oh gosh, let me think about some of there were so many great speakers in that summit. I do know that one of them that stuck out to me like a sore thumb. She was talking about how she was so physically and spiritually and mentally distraught, and her spine actually curved with her body. And she just went through this story of talking about this physical and spiritual metamorphosis that she had to go through in this healing process. And it helped me see a deeper layer of struggle and how it was manifesting in women. It wasn't just that you were lacking confidence. It wasn't just that you weren't educated and you didn't know. I was like, these women are being torn down. They're being torn down. And this spiritual and mental thing, I wonder how many other women is it physically manifesting to that degree? And her story, when I interviewed her name was Cassie. When I first interviewed Cassie, her interview blew me away. And that really hurt me because, think about all of the people that we see in our life and our families who are very brilliant, but they are struggling with something. And then unfortunately, physically, it ends up coming up and it is very detrimental. And you see some brilliant people never be the same again. But these people were so willing to talk about their journey. I was like, dang, I got to do this because I understand spirituality and mindset work and the way that I help women get past those barriers and infuse confidence in them. That was one of the most enlightening interviews that I did, was with Cassie.
And that the whole idea of like the physical manifestation of just how you're able to put things in, like we see that a lot. We see people walking around with consummate headaches, not understanding why that is, or I can't understand why I can't lose these last 10 pounds, and not really understanding why. Every time I get around this person, my chest starts to hurt and get tight, and not necessarily. And especially, we're talking about, you've made this evolution in terms of your niche group that you're working with, and especially with Black women.
Yeah,
we'll dismiss that stuff in a heartbeat.
Yes,
we'll dismiss it in a heartbeat and not even realize, oh man, so that's what that is. And understanding, cancer is prevalent, but cancer is also it's holding on to anger. And how you hold on to anger and how that turns into this now infectious thing in our body.
Yes, absolutely.
Realize that difficulty is just, we don't even understand the detriments that it can have for us to be able to have these things happen to us physically. But I want to talk a little bit about this spiritual thing.
Ooh, go ahead.
And I'm gonna be transparent. Yes, I do. I work with August. She is my coach, and I coach her. She coaches me in various entities. So there's a level of intimacy that we have, just so the audience is clear.
Yes.
There's the reason why certain questions are being asked. But as somebody who works with you, I know that your intuition and your spiritual gifts play a prominent role in how you serve people. So why is it so important to be spiritually connected to your clients? Because I think that's an aspect of business that folks miss. Like when you're working with someone, you do have to have some sort of a connection. Why is it so important to have that spiritual connection to your clients?
Because we're energetic beings would be the very basic answer. No, but seriously, that's one of the things that disturbs me about the way that people are capitalizing on individuals' dreams or their pains and their desires to go forward. We are, like they say, because of the internet, we're connected to everybody, but we're not connected to anyone. And that is what holds us into position. And this is funny that you're asking me this question while I'm actually reading some pretty intense books right now. But I had somebody reach out to me. I promise you guys know I go around, but I always come back. I had somebody reach out to me and they were interested in working in, they were like, hey, what do you know about masterminds? And when they asked me that question, I was like, oh, yeah, I answered it from the business perspective, but I still talked about it's an opportunity to be in a very potent synergistic space where everybody is benefited, mentally, spiritually, whatever. And she came back and she was like, yeah, well, I'm talking about the original mastermind where 2 or 3 are gathered together. And when she said that, I didn't go in a big debate with her because I know this woman and I took it as her just making, a regular comment to me. But when she said that, I was like, oh, heck yeah. And, whether you subscribe to Christian belief or not, if you read Napoleon Hill's books and you know how he feels about masterminds, there is a layer of success that is completely out of our control. But our actions and the way we move and the way that we speak impacts that thing that is out of our control. Now, somebody might not like the fact that I said it like that. Because they'll say, no, you are in control because you have to police your energy. You have to police your thoughts. You have to do all of these things. But the point is there's a calling and there's a purpose in everybody. And when you're not living a purpose-driven life, you feel empty. But in order for you to be purpose-driven, you have to surrender a piece of your heart. It is not just your mind. It is not just the way that you think. There is a level of vulnerability and compassion that has to come from you. And it is a gift to be able to supernaturally tap into the soul and the essence of someone else. So whether you believe in reincarnation or intergenerationally things being passed from your ancestors or not, the point is I personally do. And I do know that the soul is eternal. And if I'm going to connect with you on the deepest level, I need to get beyond what you can control coming out of your mouth. Because see, you can tell me anything. You can physically present anything to me. But for me to be spiritually in tune with you, for me to be very sensitive to the vibrational energy that I feel, you can look at me all day and be like, I'm good. And I'll be like, but why do I feel like this? I was good before I started talking to you. You're talking, and as you're speaking, it's changing what I'm feeling energetically. You're lying to me. And so the people that exercise this gift, these level of superpowers, are the ones who've decided that they understand that there's a spiritual aspect to it. So whether you study any type of transformational healing or Reiki or something else, those people usually understand that. But this is not something that is only regulated to the people who study those things. I study none of those things. It's very natural for me to tap into that energy. And I do that because it allows me to get into the deeper things. And when I say, you know what, I'm not going to be weirded out by this gift. I'm going to ask this obnoxious question. I'm going to reach out to this person and say, I think you need to talk to me because something's going on, very randomly, because I surrender to that. I know that that's one of that's the staying power behind my clients. They like, okay, there's something that she has that cannot be explained that I know she's the coach for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, because we know this, everybody's curious because this is a moment with August. So you got your Raven fans that are going to be listening to this, and you got the other ones that are going to be trolling and curious. So I'm going to ask one of those naysayer questions. So are you saying that to be a successful coach, you have to have some sort of spiritual connection? Like you can't be agnostic and coach well? Is that what you're saying?
I said that you have limitations. I say that it is a great thwarter or an impeder on your greatness. And unfortunately, if you go all the way back to the question prior to about how people have been duped by the system, that's because people are trying to create things that are technologically advanced, but not humanly advanced. And that's why, let me slow down. When we think about major companies, they spill all of their guts out on the table. Y'all go to Yahoo Finance and look at the numbers, and you look at how much money they brought in and how much money was spent on this and that, and you know whether or not they profited and all. They have, you know, if it's publicly traded, they got to put all of their information out there. What happens in the entrepreneurial space, especially with coaching, they only put the glamorous shit out there. So you see, oh my God, I coached this person and they made $75,000. I've done videos that been like, oh, I had this woman, she was in a group and she was like, I don't want to be coached by you no more. I don't like your coaching style. It's okay. It's okay, because you need to know your retention rate. You know these kind of things about other companies, but you don't know them about the potential coach that you're going to hire. You know, for every 100 people that sign up for your program, how many of them are really successful? What they do is they have 100 people go into their program. 20 people completely fall by the wayside, and they will blame it on the people and say, oh, well, they're not serious about their dreams. There was no human connection. What they needed wasn't there to sustain them. And they'll say, oh, well, that's because they didn't want to pour out all the damn money that they had in their pocket and go fucking bankrupt, so they don't believe in their dream. There's a bunch of mind fucking. There's a bunch of manipulation that goes on, all because you're trying to figure out how you can mass produce something that is highly intimate and put it out there for people, and they're not experiencing the change that they're supposed to see, and they're not disclosing their numbers. They're not going to say, oh, since the life of my business, you know, I had 5,000 people sign up for this and only 200 of them were successful. They're not going to, and yes, some people really are just lazy. They just fishing around. They'll try anything. They'll buy anything. Y'all know I don't have a bias towards that. Right. But they can't disclose that. And so if you really want to develop a product that is damn near intuitive, it comes and it's something that spirals down from having enough involvement with people to be able to kind of see like, okay, this is when this might happen. I notice that people go through these phases, and then this may happen to make them fall off. That's how people that are truly making ingenious products that are automated are really good at it. But still, allowing someone to process their own information when they haven't really truly been taught how to reset their mindset, to me, is dishonorable. Real talk. And I'll say this and pass it back to make sure that I get some clarity and make sure what other people understand. I personally say this all the time. I coach my people. I know that there's going to need to be a long-term relationship for you to be successful. But I know the day, no matter how bittersweet it may be, I know the day is going to come with every client when they don't renew their contract. And typically it is not because of money. It is because they kind of feel like they got this and they can go on their own. When these people are creating mass products, you're going into it with the same shitty mindset that you had before. And because the person that's girded up with a powerful mindset typically doesn't even want a group program. They don't want a low ticket, low budget program. So you go and you get these low ticket, low budget programs, and only the ones who actually happen to have a powerful mindset and happen to stumble around something good really master it. But everybody else, you haven't done the work to train yourself and to be conditioned to think on your own. Because I do believe as a coach, the most honorable thing that you could do is to put somebody in a position where they are creative and they can move forward without you, because we are supposed to have the full activity and the full capability, the full utilization. We could just throw a bunch of words around of your own mind. You should not always need to be guided. You should always be coupled with other people in a mastermind to be accountable and to feel synergy, but you need to be helping people have control of their own mind.
Yes, and that's important, being able to get that growth. But one of the things that stands out to me, you're talking about this whole idea of this technological mastery over the human mastery. And I'm remembering when I used to teach interpersonal communication, and one of the things that used to be the annual debate. Are we taking the intimacy out by having technology as our source? And one of the things that I admire about you is all of your stuff is virtual. Everything is like social media. You're here, you engage with your clients from face to face, but even that is still using technology in order to be able to do it. Evidence here. we're doing, this is all technology that we're doing here in order to make sure that we're pulling this off. But I think being able to keep that interpersonal is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times these folks that are trying to master the system, they forget about that. And I don't know, it's that chicken and the egg thing. Are they forgetting about it because they didn't have the interpersonal skills to begin with? Or is the dependence on technology removing that ability to be able to relate to someone interpersonally? But I see that as being the disconnect. You know, there's some coaching circles that we share in common, and being able to see the difference of, oh, you just doing this to make money, but you're not even checking on your technology to make sure the stuff is right. And then when someone reaches out to you on an interpersonal level to be able to address it, you hit back with technology, but not necessarily with the conversation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to stop you. And I know that you're being real good about, because we make sure that we don't put names out there, you know, unless we feel like it's absolutely necessary. But before you finish, I want to make sure, because I believe I'm going to do this within a safe space. I want to make sure that I paint this picture very, very clearly. Mm-hmm. I trusted someone and I allowed that individual into my personal space and said, you can market your product to them. I would also like to say that I coached this person and I asked them prior to, when you develop this, is this going to be strictly an automated system? And how are you still, because people will lose their train of thought. They will get confused. Are you going to have something in there where it's a money-making tool? I help people make money. You can make an automatic system to give this product out, but then maybe because they bought this product, they can get a one-to-one at a reduced session. You know, let's think about the human experience and what kind of things may come up. And anybody that knows me, you know that I talk a lot about customer service, because I come from the era where the customer is always right, of course, within reason. And we had a very deep and held conversation, and she's like, I got this. And so she did a special offer. You were able to sell that to people that were my clients. Once you all got to digging in and using it, you in particular were like, okay, wait a minute, this isn't working. It was literally months before she finished. Now, because when I coached her, she went through a program with me. I coached her on how to do this. And we set dates and timelines when everything would be finished. And I was like, you know what? And people, yes, you can launch things without them being complete. This was laziness on her part. But when she launched that thing, it was for her to have enough that even if, as people were going through it, she wouldn't get behind by recording the videos and putting in the PDFs and getting all that stuff in on time. And then when you did have an issue, it took months. You were beyond patient. You were like abnormally patient. Like I wanted to punch you in the face, like you should have smashed sooner patient. You waited an extended period of time for her to load up everything in the first place. And she specifically knew that you had a dream, a deadline for something that you wanted to do with this thing that you purchased from her. And then when you reached out and sent emails, it was more like, oh yeah, well, you know, that's the digital product you got. But if you need some help, you can drop off all of these commas on me, because now I'm this badass that only gets paid this much. And it's like, whoa. You're not going to honor this product that you created? And this is a technological glitch. Why is your default muscle to try to get me to spend more money with you? See, this leads into, I'm sorry. When you finish saying what you had to say, we're going to come back to this whole issue about the lack of interpersonalism because of greed. But I want to make sure that the picture's painted real clear without disclosing everything, because I want y'all to see how crappy this situation was.
Right. But I think one of the things you're talking about, this whole like being able to be connected and in tune with your client, is also a part of, you know, I'm going to put my little communicologist scholarly hat on for this little mini lesson here. But when it comes to interpersonal communication, there's always an ebb and flow. You have those moments where you're evaluating whether or not you want to maintain or dissolve the relationship. And that's what happens when it comes to coaching. Every time that there's a tense moment, the client and the coach both are like, okay, do I really want to do this? But if you're not taking those moments, what ends up happening is you don't have the connection. Like there's a reason why I call you my sister coach. It's not because, oh, you know, you my sister fist up. It's because there are ways in which we have gone through those moments of do I maintain this? Do I dissolve? What do I do? And we made the choice to maintain. And in doing that, that makes the relationship that much stronger. And when you're dependent on technology, what ends up happening is you're waiting for the machine to let you know whether or not to maintain or dissolve. And in doing that, what ends up happening is you're disconnected to everybody, because the machine can't make those decisions for you. You have to make those decisions. It goes back to that idea of your own personal choice. Like every time there's a moment of tenseness, a moment of tears, a moment of joy, a moment of sadness, those are all moments that actually bring you and the coach that much closer together, in order for you to keep battling, to keep grinding this thing, push it. Because if you don't feel as though you got somebody that has your back, then you feel as though you're wasting money.
Absolutely.
And one of the things, and that greed thing comes into it, because when you put out there, hey, if you pay me this, we can continue, or I can give you some more, you're basically offering the client the opportunity to dissolve. Because if they say no, that's it. Done.
Yeah.
And I think there's a place where, in trying to depend on this whole idea of automation. I don't have a problem with automation. I use automation. You taught me how to do it effectively and well. But there's also that part of me that's like, but I need to make sure that folks know that I'm there for them. I'm going to ask you a very specific question. I know your baby was in the hospital, so I'm going to send you that email and say, hey, how's he recovering? Is everything okay? Because that's important to me. It's not because I want you to keep paying the $47 a month. Your baby was in the hospital. Bump the $47. How are you doing as a mama? So that I can see what's going on, because that's why you haven't been in the group. You're worried about your baby. I'm not worried about whether or not you can say hola, ¿cómo estás at this point. I need to make sure that you're actually rubbing that baby's head, that the baby's whatever is happening is gone now. And there are a lot of coaches that don't do that because they don't really care about that part. They're just caring about the dollar. And I think that's the thing that sets you apart, that I think it's you can duplicate it if you have a desire to. And I think part of what the ways in which you kind of pull back the curtain on coaches is you're kind of revealing that not everybody has the desire. It's the wizard with the machines trying to steer people into doing things for them, as opposed to really being Glinda the Good Witch.
Man, you said so much up in there. You made so many things fire up in my spirit just by saying all of that. That was so much wisdom in all of that. That's one of the reasons why I love working with you. But I'm going to try to, bring all of that back in together, and what I hear you saying, and just add that extra layer that I was going to discuss about the greed. At the end of the day, when you try to create something that is dominant technologically, when it needs to be dominant from a humanistic standpoint, you're operating from a spirit of greed. And if you operate from a spirit of greed, that means that you have a scarcity mentality, that I need to get as much as I can right now, all of what I can right now, because if I don't get it while the getting is good, I'm not going to survive. I can't sustain. What I know is that this journey that I'm going up, that there's some grit, there's some grind, but it's a loving, it's an energetic, loving relationship with myself to see how strong I am, that I'm going to push all the way up till I get to the mountaintop. I want to feel the joy of the journey. And most people don't enjoy the process. And so as soon as they find something that will say, whoop, I made it here, let's just stop. But I want to feel like I'm always at the mountaintop. Not understanding that, yes, there's still some level of a valley experience. The valley experiences, they don't remain the same. I mean, think about the shit you see with your favorite stars on TMZ, even though they may kind of inflate stuff sometimes. But people have up and down moments because life is going to happen. What matters is, how do you handle what happens when life brings it to you? And the further and further you go, the things that would have distracted you and gotten you frustrated and all of those things, they don't have as big of an impact. But most people are trying to find that one thing. I say a real entrepreneur never wants to retire. A real entrepreneur that's walking in purpose never wants to retire. They can do what they do until the day that they die, because it is fuel for their soul. There is something about it that feeds them. And we as human beings, we love to be acknowledged. Men, egotistically, they love to be told that they're smart. Women, we love to be told that we're beautiful. We like for our kids to say, mommy, I appreciate what you did. For our boss to give us accolades, to give us raises. We feed off of that energy. And I know what you're talking about is deeper than that, but I'm just saying on a basic level. If you need it on a basic level, how much more impacting is it to get it on a higher level? And you're right. If you are working with the coach and, it's like, oh my God, everything is perfect. something's wrong with you, or something's wrong with them, or something's wrong with both of you guys. Because I have had moments where I've said to clients, you know what? I'm sitting here battling with whether or not I want to let you stay in this group.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're borderline looking at somebody who's putting the wrong kind of energy in here. Maybe you don't need to be in here anymore. And of course it ended up happening. But she also told me, she's like, girl, I had a conversation with my friends. It's like, we wouldn't have no coach that was talking to me like that. And she was like, but it was the truth. It hurt me because you were calling me out on my shit. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is that in doing what I do, in order to break people's mindset blocks, I got to make you face yourself. Right. I have to face myself every day, and I have to look and say, dang, that was immature. That was a knee-jerk reaction. You weren't operating from a spirit of control. How do you evolve and go to another place? I just had a situation in a group where one of my clients they came in, I'm thinking about responding this way and putting this out here because this person said this, and I'm going to make this post. And I was like, but why are you going to do it? The post and what she was going to do to respond, what she presented was the bomb. I was like, yes. But I knew how I felt energetically when I realized where the idea came from. And I'm like, if it made me feel this negative, how negative does it make her feel? Pause. Because remember we were talking about the thing you have no control over, but technically you do. Your energy, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions that you take, all let the universe know what you want. And so if you like that kind of opposition, then respond to that opposition. And if you don't, get in a more positive place and bump that opposition. And so there's so much we have to do. We have to learn, and we evolve and we grow. And I know as a coach a year and a half ago, I might have been like, post that shit. And it would have probably gotten a lot of attention, and you could have still used it for a positive and gotten clients. But as a coach that has evolved, it's like, well, you got to really say to yourself energetically what's going on. But you can't have these kind of conversations with people. You can't convey this type of information through some type of automation where there's no human connection. You can't do those things. And at the end of the day, what I know is that I become stronger and can tolerate more as I continue to coach more people through more things, because it heightens and it increases my compassion. And I don't care how intelligent AI may be, IA cannot replicate compassion on a human level. It's just not that damn smart. It can say, oh, these are tears, so I'm supposed to change my voice and feel more compassionate. Yeah, but you can't. AI can't be intuitive.
Alexa, show me empathy.
Did you say sympathy? No, empathy. No.
But it really is a testament to the way you overserve. And we said, I mean, it's not a bad thing to overserve. That's not a bad thing at all. But I do also understand that with overserving means that you get a lot back. You get a lot back. You know, I mean, I know I'm one of them. Your clients are a lot, right? They're a lot. It's a lot to be able to take on the various and sundry layers that we have. It's 90 degrees outside and we coming in with 50 coats, and you got to take each and every one of them off while we justify why it needs to be there, even though we're sweating bullets. So it's a lot to be able to deal with. And you have multiple clients. It's not just, you've got groups that you're working in, you've got one-to-one clients that you're working in, you've got all these different things. It means you're getting a lot of stuff from a lot of people. You're getting a lot of things just energetically and just mentally when it comes to dealing with people. I'm going to ask a personal question. What does your turn down look like for rebooting and recharging?
Oh, rebooting and recharging. Well, one thing I can honestly tell you is that part of my turn down, and I attribute this to also getting some Reiki training and learning to be grounded, has to do with not absorbing as much as I did in the first place. You know, that's the one thing that's dangerous for a lot of coaches. You have this strong desire to help people, but you don't realize that in your desire to help, that as an empathetic person, you absorb too much. And as much as I can, and I'm not going to break this whole thing down, plug real quick, you can get my book and understand it. I try to stay in the place of sympathy when I can. And sympathy is actually a stronger, more powerful tool than empathy, because, and I don't think, quick language lesson, I don't really think people trip off of it. Empathy is the ability to feel and to feel compassion because you absorb that emotion. Sympathy says we went through something that was very similar. which means that I literally know how you feel, with the exception of everybody's experience is different. And so it's two different wheelhouses. And because I said that being vulnerable means I share my story, and there's always a layer of it that matches someone else's, then can make sure I stay in that power place that says, I'm not going to absorb your shit. I got to remember what I had to do to get past that. So what kind of questions do I ask? How do I engage this moment so that I don't make it my own? And that's the danger of being empathetic. You make it your own. So that's one. But other things that I do, it's the treadmill. You know, it's like go and get away from your family, go to the gym that's in your apartment complex so that you can have a peace of mind by yourself. It is meditation and just sitting down. And even though I'm not big on TV, every once in a while, it's like, let me just have a mindless dump. You know, I work and I go hard. Why can't I just do something? And somebody might be like, well, what does that have to do with recharging? It has to do with the fact that I am not forcing myself to take on anybody issues, their problems, and figure out how I'm going to solve them, keep them on my mind, let me go somewhere else. And it just so happens that the shows I watch also end up inspiring me. Anyway, I'm not really well versed in it, but I do thank my coach for giving me different types of essential oils. I've invested in different crystals to make sure that I have my sage. I have different things around me so there are physical things that I do. There are material things that I've purchased, and then there are spiritual things that I do to make sure that I pause and I come back and I reboot. And I'm not really getting that specific on purpose. Beyond mentioning that, because what I find with people is that we're so busy trying to find like, what's that technique? You know, oh my God. So she says that what she does is she gets up every morning at 5 o'clock and she meditates for 30 minutes. And then after that, she does this and she drinks some lemon water and then she goes to the gym. And no. Mm-hmm. There are proven things that work, but you have got to learn how to find what that thing is for you. The other thing I do, and I talked about this in another group, it's kind of like how the Bible says that you need to pray without ceasing. And I'm like, but how you pray without ceasing? Because we talking right now, we're not praying, are we? And so that depends on what your definition of prayer is. And so for me, because my roots are Christian, I believe that I'm a spiritual being, that there is a heavenly presence inside of me, call it the Holy Spirit, the universe, whatever you want to, and that is power. That is power from the source that allowed me to be here and that I can tap into it at any time. And so I don't typically, unless I just got a busy day, wait and say, okay, this is how I'm going to reboot. I am having mini reboot sessions, kind of like how y'all do y'all cell phones. Ooh, girl, I can't have my phone down. I'm getting in the car. Let me charge it. Okay, I'm in the house. Let me charge it. I do it throughout the day. I'm like, okay, it might be a count to 10. It might be a woosah. It may be listening to some music for a second, but I am constantly in observation of my energy, so that I don't allow it to go so far that I have to do a major reboot. And I've been to that place before. And I hope that makes sense to folks.
It does. And to be clear for your listeners, I'm so anti-toolkit. So I'm really like, just the question was really to make sure that people understand that there is a need for you to do it. Because I think a lot of times people misread what they see of the live August. So the August that goes live, the August they think that, oh, she's constantly running. And I think that misunderstanding is what leads people to understand, I don't understand how she does it. And these are some of the ways. You've got to be able to take that moment of breath. Now, we're not saying, disappear for 6 months so that you can go on a retreat, do your self-care. That's not what we said. But it's important for you to be able to understand that is something that is a part of being. So yes, you are spiritually connected to your clients. That is absolutely the case. But you also have to be spiritually connected to yourself in order to be able to be connected to your clients. And if you're not giving yourself that space to do that, then you're not serving anybody.
No.
Because if you can't even get your own little marker where, why do I have this pimple right here? I don't usually get pimples. If you're not looking at that, like, what does that mean in terms of the messages emotionally, spiritually that are coming to me because this weird thing happened on my face, then you don't know that, oh, it's time for me to recharge. Oh, my body is rejecting something. So what am I not leaving space for? in order for my body to be able to do this in a more effective way. And
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times people forget that part. Like, oh, I need to connect. I need to have this rapport. I need to do this. I need to do this. But if you're not connected to self, you're not doing nothing anyway.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people think that about me because they see me put outrageous goals out there. Like I put a goal out there that said I'm producing 6 books, that all of them will be published by the end of 2019. Well, the other thing is too, you have to also not compare yourself. Some people saw me put on a summit, and as soon as I came off that summit, I gave myself 30 days to write the book, Don't Bitch About It, Be About It. Launched the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast all within 30 days. Did this and launched a high ticket group program. Already had a group with about 12 of y'all in there, and have one-to-one clients. And so for the people and then I was showing up on Facebook like all the freaking time. Well, first of all, you can't compare what I do to what you are incapable of doing. And I say that with no disrespect. I've said it all the time. I know some people that literally be like, okay, I'm gonna go live. You literally, if you were to time yourself, you spend about 30 minutes figuring out what you're gonna go live about. What will you say? What won't you say? I hate doing a call to action. If I do a call to action, what am I gonna offer them? By the time you've thought about that and you do push go live and your live was only 15 minutes and you debrief, it took you an hour. And people don't understand it, but I'm operating in my zone of genius. In the hour that it took you to go live, I have went live in my group. I have went live on my business page. I have went live on my personal page and IG. And all of the videos were under 15 minutes and were potent as hell. And so some people be like, how does she have all of this stuff on there? She's just going too hard. Well, it's hard because of what you perceive in your mind it takes to produce that. If you're sitting here like, what am I going to write in a book? Well, I just sat down and I tried to get in my zone and I was like, I'm going to just do a chapter about this. Well, what should the topic of the book be? No, I zero in on a topic and then I let my fingers flow. I trust myself. And I trust the spirit that resides in me. So on a regular basis, it does only take me 30 days to write a book. I've got 6 outlines for 6 books. Or not even outlines, but I have listed 6 books. And if I sit down and give myself time within a 30-day period, X amount of days, I know that each one of those books, every other month, I could write a book and launch a book, write a book, launch a book. But at the rate that I'm going, I've already started writing them. I may have 2 books already complete by the beginning of 2019. I get turned on by this. And I'm technologically savvy. I'm naturally mathematically inclined. So when it comes to navigating some things technologically, my clients will tell you I've done commercials for them. I have went and did things on Canva for them. That's like some of y'all might be like, what? She do all that? I've helped them out in different ways because when I was spending all that damn money on shit I didn't need, it actually came to my benefit. So I crank things out more quickly than the average person. So don't look at me and be like, August only goes hard. I am married and I have 3 kids. And we played hide and go seek last night. You know what I'm saying? In the house, of course, because it was cold. But at 9:30, we were running. And with me and the kids all in one bathroom behind the shower, while Poppy trying to figure out where is everybody. And I'm trying to keep a 4-year-old. Quiet. So I've got to have fun. I've got to do things. I've got to debrief. I've got to let go. But at the same time, I don't live in a land of excuses. Mm-hmm. And I make sure that I give my body things that'll keep me energetically savvy, that'll keep my mind firing like a pistol. Some of y'all might not be able to fire like a pistol because every time you turn around, you at Starbucks. And, between the sugar high that goes up and comes down, and I like Starbucks, not hating. It goes up and it comes down. You're like, dang, man, I'm just so tired, but I need to get this book done. Well, my clients will tell you, they've seen it with their own eyes. I wake up and eat a salad for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? So when I sit down, I'm like, ooh, I'm just energetic. Like I didn't have sugar, but it was real food. Mm-hmm. And I have the energy. So, you like really got to look, you got to get and that's a snippet still. You got to get the whole scope of that. So no, I'm not just beast mode, but I am a beast.
Right. But I do think it's important, though, because, people see the product, but they don't understand that, yeah, you can churn out a book in 60 days. Yeah, you decided in 30 days you want to do a summit. That's not without meditation. But because of the practice that you have, it doesn't take you 5 days to meditate on whether or not you're going to do this.
Bingo.
Can I? Yes. All right, cool. Boom. And let's go, because of that spiritual connection that you have. And I think we keep coming back to it, but I think it's real important that people understand that this isn't, I mean, yes, you can be a beast when it comes to your work and when it comes to your effort. Like, the products will come, but you will lose it in a heartbeat if you are not spiritually connected to what it is that you're doing.
Can I, before you ask your next question, let me piggyback off of that, because I am, like I said, I work to have my mind and my space in a continuous thought process to tap in, you know, to lean in and to grab what it is I'm supposed to get. That's literally what it looked like. After I came off of the first summit, the Real Talk of Business Mastery, I had the group going, the synergy going. Then all of a sudden, these women keep asking me questions. I'm like, dang, they still scared to show up after all this information. But I'm paying attention because my heart is centered at what they're saying. Oh, wow. These women are saying, they opening up and telling me stuff that they ain't never told nobody about being raped or being molested. These are conversations on the back end. I'm like, this has to be done. God, you showing me how I'm being vulnerable, but I can't do this by myself. I need more women being vulnerable with me. Bam, we got to do the Real Talk with the Real Women Don't Bitch Summit. And doing that, but then when I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm thinking from a spiritual perspective and a business perspective, that God is reminding me, but not everybody watches summits. You still not big. You still not out there. Some people don't like video. They prefer literature. Put all of that information in a book. And then do what you do to the best of your ability by asking the questions to get people to, you know, get the information and to be able to process it and apply it to themselves. But then it's like, okay, but because I am very intentional about what my path is and what my destiny is, I still got to keep reaching people. Well, what are the ways that you do that? Video and audio are taking over how people consume information. All right. And, you know, reading that book one time isn't going to do it. You know, entrepreneurship is a journey. You know, every day is a daily struggle. Do a podcast. You know, and so like you said, I kept getting downloaded information and I just said yes. I said I was writing 6 books before I knew what those 6 books would be. It was only a week ago that I realized what the book would be. And the one book that I thought would take me the longest is the one that I've already started writing. Mm-hmm. And that's the one about God's keys to entrepreneurship.
That's a bit of an inside thing.
Y'all see how smoothly I just always plug myself. Y'all should really learn how to do it. You're always a salesman.
More is caught than taught, my love. More is caught than taught. Okay. So there's things that we know, like we know that you're a beast when it comes to business. We know that, you know, you have this spiritual connection. You have these things that you do for yourself in terms of recharging. You share stories about what your business journey has looked like. You share stories about certain aspects of your personal life that fit whatever it is that you're talking about. But if you had to think about that thing that you haven't shared with anyone yet, but would really give people a broader view of the portrait that is August Crenshaw. What would be that thing that you could share that no one knows about you? That's not a part of the transparency and the vulnerability, but still give someone a peek into your humanness.
I would say that at this very moment, as you're asking this question, that I've even wrestled with in my spirit, how much I would disclose. And I know that, and I have a reason why I have to wrestle with disclosing this, because it does not just involve me. One of the things about doing my business, me and my husband had to have some conversations, because he's like, man, you just tell anybody everything. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, that's just how I am. And he was raised in a much more private way. But as I am going through this journey, the level of hiccups that I'm starting to deal with in my relationship are magnifying. Now, he's still there. He's very supportive. You guys know that he also works with me. He's still posting. We still talking about the business. We still having meetings. But we are in one of the most tense pieces of our relationship. I mean, we're over a decade. And so anybody that knows any better about relationships, you know that when you kind of get into that place, that you get that, do we stay up in this? You know, have we evolved into 2 totally different people? All kinds of things can come out the woodworks that could challenge where you are. And I know for most women, it is the deal breaker. You will say that you're going to build your business no matter what, but I see a lot of women fall off and they stop building because of the marital issues that they're dealing with, or they will build their business so strongly and allow their marriage to go by the wayside. And so I'm in a season right now of building my business and also working on sustaining my marriage and healing through something that, you know, was actually seen that this moment would come one day. But the way that it's come, it's kind of like, damn, could you have came at a different time, you know? But it was one of those things where you some things you see and you can't address right away. You got to deal with them as you go. And so once again, just like I'm not a beast that always works, just because I got this husband that's doing more for me than the average woman has with a man doing in her business, does not mean that it is clear of conflict and that there are no issues in it. But what I absolutely refuse to do is I refuse to let either one be impacted because of the other. If something's going to be impacted, it's going to be because of what is internally going on with each thing. Something going wrong with my business will be because of something that needs to be fixed in my business, not because something in my marriage trickled into it. Something going wrong with my marriage is because we need to work on an area in our relationship that needs to be fixed, not because my business is overtaking me and I don't have time for my marriage. And that is a battle that a lot of women have to face, but you got to deal with both of those things equally, in my opinion. And when I say equally, I don't mean like 50-50, but you have to make sure that you're attentive to both so that when you make whatever decisions that you make, you're always very crystal clear on, oh, this is what we have to do. And most women can't make that clear of a distinction because you do go too far to the left or to the right. And when you do that, so here's, you know, coaching. Look, I'm always coaching.
I was about to say, I said, there's a nugget in this, ladies. Y'all need to listen.
The reason why, and no, I'm not saying that I'm getting ready to get a divorce, but I'm taking this deeper because I think that somebody needs to hear this. When you have issues in relationships, and some of y'all in relationships, and you know you shouldn't be in it. You're like, I knew I wasn't supposed to be in it. But if they were shitty and you were shitty back, what will we do as a woman, especially if you were a Christian woman and you went to church and you heard the verses that a harsh word stir up anger and a soft voice turns away wrath? You will crucify and condemn yourself. You'll be like, well, I did cuss or I did yell too. When we have guilt about our behaviors and our actions, we can't make solid decisions of whether or not to stay to go, whether to build or to say, you know, start over. But when you know that you've truly done all that you can do and you've embodied a spirit of peace and productivity and positivity, even if some of the decisions that you have to make in marriage or in business don't feel good and it's not what you want to do, you can rest in peace knowing that it's what you have to do. And so some of you don't have issues that's worthy of you leaving, but your knee-jerk reactions and your lack of imbalance will also have the potential to do the exact opposite, have you leaving because you just being an ass and then regretting that you didn't stay and do all that you could do later. So if you really want the peace that passes all understanding, when you're dealing with issues in your marriage and your business, you got to realize what it's saying about you and how you're bossing up and how you're showing up, so that you're not making decisions based off knee-jerk reactions or avoiding making a decision because you are having a guilt trip.
Right. It's being able to understand, because ladies, y'all need to catch this, because there's a lot that was in here, and I think some of y'all might have missed it because y'all got caught up in certain things. What's being said is that your business and your marriage are mirrors to one another. They're not interlocking chains where if you break off one, you can still fix it in another area, or you can still do this. What you see on one side is happening on the other side too. So you got to make sure that you're clear that if you've got this issue that's going on the marriage side or on the business side, that it's also reflected in the other thing. So if it's your marriage, then there's evidence of it in your business. If it's your business, there's evidence of it in your marriage, and that you really shouldn't try to separate them, because you are in both. That's like trying to split yourself in half. We're not doing the baby. You're not doing the whole thing with the baby in the Bible. We're not doing that.
Right. Only y'all can have it. Just cut the baby in half.
Right. What we're doing here is we're being able to see that they're mirroring each other, but the reflection is still us on either side. You can't say, oh, I'm looking at the mirror and I see my husband. No, you see you. You can't look and say, I'm looking at the mirror like, oh, that's my clients. No, but it's you. And you got to be able to understand that you still stand in the middle of that reflection. So what are you going to do to make sure that there is congruency and that they actually look the same? You know, that little game we used to play with the hands and our friends. How can you make sure that that's happening between your business and your marriage?
Absolutely.
We got to wind down.
Did you look like you had more questions? Do we gotta do part 2?
I have one more question I'm gonna ask because we got time for me to be able to ask it.
Okay, and I'll monitor how long I talk.
Yes. So, what is your biggest non-business proud moment? So, if you have your biggest non-business proud moments. If you had to think about not business related, but I am the most proud of this thing right here in my life. What is that thing?
Right now, or just throughout the duration of my life period?
We'll say throughout the duration.
Throughout the duration. You know what? You know what I do? My biggest, most proud moment is that I had the courage to become an adventurer. That is, when I really think about all the accomplishments. Yeah, I went back to college, got my degree, get 33. Nope, it was really having a test of my faith. And this has nothing to do with business. This was about my life. I mean, a business decision was rooted in this, but I literally just felt led to get out of the city that I lived in a hurry. I was like, I gotta go. I can't be here anymore. And when I told my husband, I'm like, hey, I feel like we're supposed to leave. You still want to leave? Because he had wanted to leave in the first place. And he was like, yes. All these things that I believe, my faith, they moved at rapid fire. I was like, okay, we got to sell our house. Let's hurry up, clean it out, move and sell everything. Let's do all of these things that we told our family that we would be gone before August hit. We made this decision in April. And we said we'd be gone. We would be in Houston before August. And we did. The decision was made on April 15th. And we were landed on Texas soil on July the 20th. And we went there without the house already having closed. We went there without him having received his money from cashing in his 401k. We went there with the little bit of money that we had saved, no jobs lined up. I found out I was 22 and a half months pregnant before we even decided to leave. So we were going down. We went down there with 3 kids and a baby in the belly, and we did it. And that broke some shackles off of me. And that's why I was able to say, hey, well, after Harvey, we just don't want to live in live in Houston anymore. We just we moved to Atlanta. And I realized that I got a level of freedom and I can shift and move. And I tell everybody all the time, well, it's because my business, but I did that before I had this business. I didn't even get the revelation about the business and start getting freed from spiritual and religious strongholds until after I left my city. And not that I'm saying everybody else that was there had to be there, but 2 weeks after we left, that's when Mike Brown hit. And not to say that we couldn't still sold our house, but we were in Florissant, which is quote unquote better than Ferguson. But, you know, if you ask people, but still it ain't that far. You know how you could drive a block and be in the wealthiest and the poorest neighborhood. There's no telling what it would have done to the market value of the house, any of that stuff. And so that responding to the prompting in my spirit to lead, to me, is still one of the most ambitious, profound things that I've ever done, with yielding to the spirit and challenging myself to say, I'm going to do something that most people would consider to be very fearful, and I'm going to jump and do it anyway. And I found out that I was pregnant while there was a contract on the house, and I could have rescinded that contract and just lost that money, but whatever penalties for doing that. And I loved my doctor. Dr. Pedastric was the bomb. But even knowing that I had found out that I had a baby that had been hiding in my belly, I still left. And to me, that's one of my most reflective points to let me know, when you set a goal and you say something going to happen in a certain time frame, boo-boo, you remember what happened then. That's my most proud moment.
And I think that's important to be able to, you know, because a lot of times when you ask people like, what are you the most proud of? We start to list these accomplishments, right? Like, oh, I did this, or I've got these things, or I've done these different things. But when you take that moment to think about what's that non-business related thing that you are the most proud of, and then being able to look at that moment and then be able to see evidence of how it manifests in how you relate with people, how you've actually gone through and taking risks when it comes to your business, when all of these things you can see, look at that non-business thing that you've done and you've done well, and that's going to let you know what's possible. It's going to give you that peek into what it is that you can do. And I think one of the things that in terms, especially in terms of that adventurous spirit, you can see you being proud of that adventurous spirit manifest everywhere with you. It's not just in your business. It's, I got an adventurous spirit. Oh, let's go over here and try this thing. Like, oh, let's see what's in this store. Oh, what they doing over here? Oh, they over there dancing. Let's go dance with them. But all of that is a testament. Yeah, I'm revealing some things.
We've hung out, y'all. She telling on me.
But all of that is a testament to what you're the most proud of. And I think when we get stuck in accomplishments, we miss those moments. And I think you being able to think about that non-business thing that you are the most proud of also shows how you capitalize on moments. And to be proud of your adventurous nature means that you stay in the present on things, which is really important when it comes to your success in anything, not just business, but just life. If you're in the moment, you see so much more. You experience so much more. You play hide and seek at 9:30 with your kids because you're in the moments. I think if nothing else, it's not just, oh, August talking about that thing that she's proud of, but I think it's a moment of introspection for your listeners. What is that non-business thing, that non-tangible achievement thing that you are the most proud of? And how do you see that pride seeping into everything else that you got going on in your wonderful and sundry life? Aww. Ladies and gentlemen, awesome. Oh man. Okay, closing words, closing remarks, things you want to say. You know, you promote. So this is a non-closing remarks, love, because you know you got it everywhere. They know, but I mean, what are some of the last things that you want people to know as we close out this season? And what do we need to know about you, and what should we expect? Because you got a whole new season coming that's about to be on the chain. But I'll let you tell them.
Yes, and the theme of the season has changed, but I'm still blending in what I was putting in there because I had originally the theme was going to be execution, and I went through something and it was restoration. And then I'm like, no, I need to keep it execution, but and I really just had the epiphany while I'm talking to you now that it needs to be a blend of the both, execution and restoration, because that's what we talked about. This is being in the moment. Bam. So there you go. Coming back for season 3, we're going to give you what you need, baby, because you're going to have to get out there. The first season was a foundation. The second season was about elevation. Now we need you out there if you wasn't already doing it, because you're supposed to be doing it anyway. We need you executing, but we're going to have you help you with having a blend of restoring yourself simultaneously. So next season is going to be off the chain because we're doing the ER. Ooh! Oh! I just realized, see what I'm saying, y'all? If you could just chill for 2 seconds. Man, I swear to God, that is dope. It's like it came.
And you're welcome.
Yes. We are in a state of emergency, y'all. Okay, real quick segue. We both got to be out of here by the time this clock hits 12:30. I was reading a post that one of my friends put up on LinkedIn that said that a lot of jobs are going to be gone because of AI. And it's talking about how over 50% of jobs are going to be gone in 15 years and all this stuff. I was like, see, that's why people got to be entrepreneurs. So yeah, we are in a state of emergency. So yeah, come back next season for the ER. See how I blend anything in a heartbeat. But anyway, what I do, you guys know who I am. You know what I do. You know how I feel. I want you all to jump aboard this train. I don't know where it fits for you, But when you go to my website, go to augustcrenshaw.com. Don't sleep on this opportunity. Show your life, your business, what you deserve. If you got to start at the $97 level with the Fix My Business group, then you do that. If you can't do a recurring payment, then you get that book bundle that I'm advertising for you guys to, get all 4 of the books that's dealing with all of these things that you need. My thing is, without pitching any one thing in particular, you are dealing with a coach that no matter what product or service that I have, as the technical people would say, my unique selling proposition is that I will always provide a humanistic component to anything that I create. So I want you all to thrive. I want you all to feel what my clients are feeling on all single levels. Quit playing with yourself. Quit overthinking it. Stop debating it. You've taken risk and you've trusted people, and I know that it has failed, and I know that you feel bad. I did that too, but that doesn't mean that I stop investing in the thing that I want to create. Masterminding is about being connected with like-minded people, people that are goal-centered like you. You have no idea what's on the other side of working with me, but I promise you, just like I'm going to require you to be your best version of yourself, I'm literally going to love you to death through the entire process. And that's what we need, ladies. There's always a love deficit to some degree in all of my clients, and you get replenished by me working with you. And I would be honored for all of the women that feel like that's what you need. You sign up if you're uncomfortable with signing up, but you're ready to boss up and make a decision and you want to have a one-to-one with me, fill out an application on my website. Don't be filling it out now if you're trying to test. No, you need to fill it out because you want direction, and I'm not playing with y'all. I'm ready to help even more women in 2019 elevate to the next level. Yes, the 6 books are coming out. One-to-one coaching is still going down, and in the spring, package price and profit will be coming back up. If you want to have quick accelerated growth, bam. So that's it. But Camille, thank you for the interview. I had no idea what you were going to bring to the table once I invited you. And yeah, you made me have to stop and think. I was like, these are some good ass questions. You thought a podcast. No, I'm just playing.
Well, I'm glad. I'm honored that you actually asked me to do this for you. I feel really honored about it. And if anybody is ever in doubt about what they're going to get when it comes to August Crenshaw, just save this episode, put it in your playlist, and listen to it every once in a while, because this is the humanistic part of what it means to coach. Is what everything that you heard today is genuine, it's authentic, and it's real, right? Because that's you're authentic and real. But it's important that folks be able to understand that this is what it looks like to be a human coach.
Yes.
Right here. That's who it is. And we got the ER in the next season. So come on, get your triage ready, y'all. Get your triage.
I love you. Well, y'all, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next season. First episode, January the 2nd, 2019. Happy New Year in advance, and y'all can send me anything y'all want to. December 29th is my birthday.
Happy Kwanzaa, y'all. Happy Kwanzaa. Power to the people.
Power to the people. We outie. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomen.don't bitch.podcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you.